Our next story takes us to Kazakhstan, which is right here in Central Asia. It's quite a big country. And this story is called The Magic Garden for the Poor. Long time ago, there lived two friends beside each other in a remote part of their town. One had land that was fertile and he worked as a farmer, and the other, his land was rocky, so all he could do was herd sheep. He worked as a shepherd. These two had been together for decades. They were alone, they didn't have their own families, so they were very close to each other. And one harsh winter, the shepherd lost all his sheep to a deadly disease. And one day he came to his farmer friend, knocked on the door and said, "My friend, I came to bid you farewell. There's no way I can recover from this loss. I don't have enough in savings, so I'll have to go to the city and find work, any kind of work that I can find to make a living." The farmer said, "My friend, I can't let you go. You're all I have. And as far as making a living, why don't I split half of my farm with you so you can be with me? I will teach you how to be a farmer." No, my friend. I can't take half your farm. It's not a big area that you have. It's really not fair to you. No. I insist. Please. Live here and we will both be farmers. Now the shepherd, who had for years been trained as a farmer, one day was plowing his field and he came across a clank sound. He dug deeper and he pulled out a vase, and it was filled with gold coins. He was so excited. He ran to his farmer friend. He said, "My friend, look what I found. You are a rich man." "I'm a rich man? You found it on your piece of land." "No, but it originally belonged to you." "No, it's yours." "No, it's yours." They started fighting. For the first time in their lives, they were arguing and there was no solution to it. Both of the two men wanted to give it to the other. And they didn't come to any solution, so they decided in the morning they would go to the old wise woman who lived on the other side of their town. She was known not only for her wisdom, but she was also a scholar. The next morning, the two men took that pot or vase of gold and took it to that wise woman who was teaching four friends at the time. And when she heard the dilemma, she turned to her first student and said, "What should these two men do with their pot of gold?" The first student said, "That's easy. My teacher, they found it in the ground. They should put it back in the ground." And the wise woman said, then she moved to her second student and she said, "I hope you have something better to say." And he said, "Yes, I believe since those two men don't want it, why don't we keep it? We'll be rich." And this time, the wise teacher said, "Am I wasting my time teaching you? Is this the best you can come up with?" And then she turned to her third student and she asked, "I hope you have something better to say." And he said, "Yes, I have the best solution. We and everything in this land belongs to the great Khan, who's our ruler. We should give this gold to the great Khan." This time, the teacher looked angry. She looked disturbed. The great Khan already has too much wealth, too much wealth. And then she turned to her last student, her youngest student. His name was Arman. Arman was lost somewhere. "Arman, back to earth. Where are you?" And he was still lost. "Arman, come back. Did you hear what the two men want to do with the gold? Do you have a solution?" My teacher, yes, I was actually dreaming a solution. You know, my teacher, there's so many poor people in this land. And the great Khan doesn't seem to care about these people. They're homeless people, and they're children who are starving. There are people who don't get enough food. I was just dreaming, my teacher, that if the men don't want this gold, this is a lot of money we could invest it to make a garden, a community garden where people can come and rest on the soft grass, and then they can eat from the fruit trees and all the vegetables. That's my dream, my teacher. Armand, that is amazing. Then she turned to the two men and said, what do you think? And they agreed. They nodded. Armand, take this gold and go to the city and find the best seeds and saplings so we can make this dream come true. And Armand, I can donate a plot of land that I never used. My father had left it as inheritance for me, but I never used it because I've been busy teaching all these years. So I can donate that for this cause. Armand clutched onto that gold and he left for the city. He had never been to the city and he hadn't seen that marketplace. When he got to the marketplace, he was lost in the sights and the sounds. And he could see so many things that were dazzlingly beautiful. He saw silks in one corner, rugs and carpets in one corner with exquisitely beautiful designs, maybe the kind you find in Marrakech, perhaps in the marketplaces. And then he went further. Oh, was that incense? Was that rose or was it something else? Tingled his nostrils. And then he went further and he could smell the spices. Was that cinnamon? He loved the smell of cinnamons. And then he told himself, oh, I must not get distracted. I must find the seeds. He saw people haggling over prices, so he said, no, I'm not going to be distracted. Armand, go straight for the seeds. So he saw the seed store, but something, a sound of a caravan approaching, caught his attention. He turned around and he saw a sight that made him really disturbed. There were lots of camels, hundreds of them carrying the finest of birds, tied by their feet upside down, screaming and squawking. And Armand was horrified. Some of these birds he had never seen before. So he came in front of the caravan leader, and the caravan came to a stop, and he asked, what are you doing, young man? Get out of my way. What are you doing? And Armand asked, what are you doing with these birds? Why are you treating them so ruthlessly? Ah, these birds, they're gonna make me a lot of money. They are headed for the great Khan's table, where he will feast on their meat and he will decorate his palace with their feathers. Armand said, well, doesn't he have enough meat to eat every day anyway? Why would he want to destroy these birds? And why don't you take this? Gold. Gold? You would have gold? You? And the caravan leader looked inside and there were gold coins. His eyes almost fell out of his sockets. And he said, oh, perhaps the great Khan can wait. He would definitely never give me this amount of money. The birds are all yours. So Armand spent hours untying the birds, setting them free. Some of them needed more care. Some of them were bleeding from where they were tied. One by one, all the birds started flying away from Armand, and he headed back. But when he saw that plot of land, which was supposed to be his garden, he fell down on his knees and he said, oh no, what have I done? I was entrusted with gold to buy seeds to start this garden. Those men trusted me and my teacher. What am I going to say to my teacher? Just then a bird the last bird he had set free, came down, circled around Armand, and then went up in the sky. And Armand noticed that the whole sky, the entire sky, filled with all the birds he had set free. All types of sizes and species of birds. And they went to that land, that plot of land, and they started pecking the earth to make it softer. And then some of the birds brought seeds that they placed inside those holes. And just before him, magically grass started sprouting. And in one corner of the garden, trees started appearing. It was magic right in front of him. The larger birds brought bricks and tiles, and they made a fountain right in the middle of the garden. And water started flowing in all directions of the garden. It was amazing sight. Armand could actually smell the fragrance of the citrus trees coming from a distance. He started walking towards the garden. And on one side of there were fruit trees. Do you know what kind of fruit trees he saw? He saw apple trees, and what else would
Peaches.
you like?
Peach.
Peaches, apricot
Apricots.
trees.
Figs.
Yeah, figs. He actually
Oranges.
took one fig and tasted it. It just melted in his mouth. Armand walked further, and there was a little herb garden. He saw all types of herbs. There was cilantro and mint, his favorite mint. What else do you think he would see in the herb garden?
Oregano.
Yes,
Oregano.
oregano and
Mint.
mint. And then on another side, he saw the most beautiful flowers, red roses. Oh, his favorite smell. He smelled one. It smelled better than any other roses he had smelled. And also daffodils, daisies. What flowers? What are your favorite flowers? Would he see that in that garden? Perhaps lilacs, lilies, all different
Lavender.
colors.
Lavender.
Lavender. Yes. What else?
Sunflowers.
Sunflowers. Oh, those sunflowers facing the sun, glowing in the
I
sunlight.
love
Oh,
this.
that was beautiful.
I love the smell of pinks.
Mmm, lovely. And then he walked behind the fountain and he saw his teacher with the two men. And they looked happy instead of angry with him. And his teacher said, Arman, you must have done something for the birds to reward you with this magic garden. Look at the poor people who have started coming in. There were little young orphans who were resting in the soft grass, and there was all kinds of people with patches, people who hadn't eating from the plants and the berries, the strawberries, the raspberries, blueberries like we have in Canada. Everything was delicious. And the two men hugged Arman and said, you made our dream come true. With our generosity and your kindness, this magic garden will be there for centuries. And who knows, if you go to Kazakhstan, it's still there.